You are about to hear the world's only podcast hosted by a Brooklyn-based, songwriting, Jesus-loving couple. I'm Melinda May.
I'm Trevor Knight, and this is Stronger Voices.
Each episode is simply one of our personal conversations recorded and shared with you in hopes you'll be encouraged.
We're glad to have you with us today, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Stronger Voices. Welcome, folks.
Yes, welcome.
If only you were around for the previous couple minutes when we were setting up the mics and getting some good old-fashioned banter going. It was pretty enjoyable.
We're definitely editing all of that out.
Yeah, yes. Sensitive audiences, perhaps. So, RLHT is out. For those of you that don't know, that stands for Riding Llamas Hurts Teenagers.
Every single word, I was like, can he do it? Oh, wow. It's not Riding Llamas Hurts Teenagers.
Although it might.
It
I
might
don't think
hurt-
it'd be comfortable to ride a llama.
Well, I think it hurt the llama. But it stands for Red Leather Head Turner is what it stands for. And that is the name of my song that came out September 9th. And, yeah, I'm excited.
How do you feel about it?
I love the song. I love it. And I am excited to get more ears on it. It's still very new. Hasn't been out even a week. Well, I guess it'll be a week tomorrow. So, yeah.
I
feel
love
good
that
about
song.
It. Me too.
I was talking to my wonderful mother today, and she had many things to say about this song, all positive.
I can't believe you didn't tell me this.
Yeah, I can't either. I must have slipped my mind. I guess I thought you were kind of listening while we were on the phone.
Not at all.
But she said she loves it. The lyrics are right on point. She said she thinks the song is going to go places. It's got a lot of
Wow.
potential. She said it's better than a lot of the stuff she hears on the radio.
Corinne's tough, man.
She
Corinne's tough.
she can be a critic sometimes.
So to get that from Corinne, I'll take it. That's great.
I would
that's
take
very
that. I don't
encouraging.
get that kind of stuff. So
My parents do the same thing, Trev. They're like, Trevor's music, comparing. And like, why don't you do this more like Trevor does? Okay.
grass is greener.
Exactly.
Anyway, she loves the song. So
That's
my wonderful mother loves the song.
that is so good to
Riding
hear.
Llamas Hurts Teenagers. Get it anywhere that you listen to music.
Trev. It's Red Leather Head Turner.
Red Leather Head Turner.
Yeah.
Great song.
Thank you. Well, what's going on with you? What's been on your heart, on your mind? What's happening?
It's middle of September at the time of this broadcast. So I came out with Twists and Turns 2 weeks ago today. I feel great about it. Reception's been good. I'm excited to not be in the doldrums after you release a song. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but you release a song, you hype it up, people love it and care about it for a week or two, and then it's crickets. It's hard to resurrect interest in something. So I'm happy to have this
Is
release
so
plan.
Right, yeah.
Where I can just, I'm 2 weeks out from a release. Maybe the initial shock of that interest is starting to subside, but I have another release in 2 weeks. And that's going to be the case going forward.
I
So
love this.
I'm never going to be more than 2 weeks from any release, and that's really exciting.
That is wild.
So,
when
yeah.
you put it like that, that's awesome. It's like you can always be looking forward to that next song.
Yep. So on October 1st, a song of mine called Easy is coming out, and I think people will like it.
I think so too.
I'm
love
excited
that
for
song. Yeah. Me too.
And I purchased on Amazon 2 separate haberdashery articles.
What's the word
Haberdashery
haberdashery?
refers to hats
Oh.
that complement this song that I think I will be using in some promotional efforts. You're a fan of the pineapple hat.
So, what kind of hat is it? How do you
Bucket hat.
Okay, so it's a bucket hat that is white that has giant yellow cartoon pineapples on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Trevor wore it out to dinner on a date the other night, and I just I like when people do whatever they want in a way that they're like, yeah, I'm doing this right now, and like I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like
You were
it.
into it.
Yeah. I'm like, yes, like if I want to wear a giant pineapple hat, I will, Who are you?
Yeah.
Like that's how I think of these things. So I like it.
So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to have a constant stream of content. I'm excited to always be looking forward. I've never had that, and yeah, it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Every 30 days, something new.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it.
Me too.
I'm excited for it. You want to dive in?
Let's go. So you're going to lead the discussion today. You brought up
the
other day that you had read something in Job that was really great, and I literally said in that moment, save it for the podcast. So
we haven't talked about it at all.
We haven't talked about this at all. So I really want to know what's going on. What'd you read?
So I was reading Job the last few days, and I came across Job chapter 9. Very, very impactful. So Job, a little precursor to the first few chapters of Job, God allows Job to go through a lot of trials, and basically everything is stripped away from Job. He loses his family, he loses his home, he loses his estate, he loses his wealth, and he gets afflicted with these painful sores all over his body. I mean, if that's not in the doldrums having a bad day, I don't know what is. So Job is at the mercy of God, and he is weak, and he's beaten down, and his friends come over, and he starts having this long discussion with his friends, which is really interesting. So they go back and forth between Job and his companions, talking about how God works, talking about what God is doing, and, talking about Job's anguish. And Job 9, Job makes this speech, which really struck me. I just want to read Job 9, 1 through 15, and then get your thoughts on it.
I'm ready.
At first blush, and then we'll talk about some things that I took from it.
I love that we're reading this. This is good because I want to hear it. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
Job 9. And the title that this version of the Bible puts right before Job 9 is Job says there is no arbitrator between God and man.
Okay.
Job 9, verse 1. Then Job answered, "In truth I know that this is so. But how can a man be in the right before God? If one wished to dispute him, he could not answer him once in 1,000 times. Wise in heart and mighty in strength, who has defied him without harm? It is God who removes the mountains. They know not how, when he overturns them in his anger. Who shakes the earth out of its place, and its pillars tremble. Who commands the sun not to shine, and sets a seal upon the stars. Who alone stretches out the heavens and tramples down the waves of the sea. Who makes the bear, Orion and the Pleiades, and the chambers of the south. Who does great things, unfathomable, and wondrous works without number. Were he to pass by me, I would not see him. Were he to move past me, I would not perceive him. Were he to snatch away, who could restrain him? Who could say to him, what are you doing? God will not turn back his anger. Beneath him crouch the helpers of Rahab. How can I answer him and choose my words before him? For though I were right, I could not answer. I would have to implore the mercy of my judge." What do you think of that?
Wow. What do I think of that? I think that God is so incredibly, unthinkably, the word unthinkably, like it's impossible to fit in my brain how awesome he is. I mean, wow. And that is striking to me. And so many things jump out to me about that. I almost don't know where to start, but I'll tell you this. I think what strikes me is the humility of Job. Do you hear the humility in that? Saying, even if I were right, what would it matter? Because you are God. Even you, I don't know the exact words, you uproot the mountains and they don't even know what happened. You do all of these things, like you are the Lord. He's saying, like, he is not even giving, he's acknowledging that all authority is from God, despite what he thinks is just, his opinion, his ideas. He is saying, no, like, God is it. God is it. So that strikes me. And then, well, before I just go and list all these things, I mean, tell me what struck you about it when you read it.
So I read this passage, I underlined many things, and then I wrote one word in the margins. What does that say?
Jesus.
Jesus. So Job is a book in the Old Testament. This is hundreds of years before Jesus. And the main complaint that Job is raising here when he's saying all these things is that there is no arbitrator between God and man. You have all-powerful God that moves the mountains, that calms the seas, that creates the stars in the sky and puts a seal on them. And then you have man. You have Job, who's writhing in the dirt covered in sores with nothing to his name. Those are the two disparate ends of this dichotomy. And Job is saying there is no arbitrator between God and man. And he says in that last verse, verse 15, if I were to stand before him, the only way I could be justified would be, quote, I would have to implore the mercy of my judge. He has no hope of being justified before God because he is a man who has sinned and lives on the earth, and he's standing before God. And what is so powerful about this is that this is hundreds of years before Jesus. Jesus hasn't existed yet. The Messiah has not come yet. And Jesus comes to earth as the arbitrator between man and God, who does these things that he lists, not just in a metaphorical sense. He does these concrete things, which I'm going to list in a second. And he is a man. And he's a person like Job. It's amazing. So Job says, he removes the mountains. Jesus says that during his ministry. If you have an ounce of faith and you ask this mountain to move from here to here, it will be done. Jesus says that when he's alive hundreds of years later. Who commands the sun not to shine and its pillars to tremble? The temple shook when Jesus died. The pillars of the temple shook when he died, when he breathed his last breath. You can read that in the gospel accounts.
Also, the sky went completely black.
And the
sky
sun
went
did not
dark.
shine and tramples down the waves of the sea. Jesus did that. Jesus calmed the sea when he was out on the Sea of Galilee with his disciples. And wondrous works without number. In the end of John, it says, if we recounted all the wondrous works that Jesus did, it would fill more books than could be held on the earth. So that works without number is referenced in John. If he were to pass by me, I would not see him. If he were to move past me, I would not perceive him. How does Jesus get away from crowds? It literally says in the Gospels, all these people approached him, but he just walked straight through the crowd without being perceived. Without anyone, they wanted to abduct him. They wanted to convict him, and they couldn't. He walked right past them. Jesus fulfills these things that Job attributes to God as acts of God, and he does them as a man on earth. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't this lament that Job is saying, God is all-powerful, how can a man stand before him justified? A man comes to earth and does these things because he is fully God and fully man. And I don't even think this is viewed as a prophetic book. I'm not sure, but if that's not a fulfilled prophecy, I don't know what is. Job is saying all these things that only God can do, and Jesus comes and he does these exact things. And Job says in verse 15, if I were to stand before him, I could not be justified. I would have to implore the mercy of my judge. Jesus stands before God representing us, representing Melinda and Trevor, and we are justified before God because of what Jesus did. So that's what I took from this.
Absolutely. The same thing stood out to me. Of course, that there is a way to talk to God. There is, before it's all this, like Job is saying, how can you come before the Creator, the God of love, knowing that you're human, knowing that you're not perfect, knowing that you have some issues, man, knowing that like your heart's not perfect, and you're going to go before the God of love, the Creator, who did all these incredible things that God did. And even if it's not, if you don't fully acknowledge it, somewhere deep down, he would just strike me down. Like, how can you stand before God? And the answer is love through Christ. And it's incredible that, number one, it's the most incredible miracle that ever happened. The fact that the Bible says that when God sees me, he sees me as blameless. Even though I'm not perfect and I've done all these things, he sees me as blameless because all of my punishment and all of my debt to God for every bad thing I did was paid one time in full with the blood of Christ. And that's the most incredible miracle, that I don't have to have any shame. I don't have to have any guilt. I don't have to have any doubt. I don't have to listen to those negative voices in my head about myself. That's wrong. Because when God sees me, he sees me as he sees the righteousness of Christ. And that is the most incredible miracle. There's nothing that will ever be sweeter than that. The fact that I can talk to the Creator and he loves me and he knows me. Nothing can compare to that. And something else that, as you said, something else that jumped out at me was the fact that this book was written so before the New Testament. And that's provable. And all of the Old Testament, in some way, that entire book that's been written across thousands of years, the Old Testament, the whole thing, it has different authors from different places. It's a lot of different books in one. They all point to Christ. And it's incredible that this passage absolutely does.
You have no chance standing before God justified because you are a person, and God created the universe and everything in it, including you. So,
and he is perfect justice. He is perfect love. He's all powerful. And I try to make this analogy sometimes. You know when people see a celebrity and they lose their words and they freak out? Taylor told us a story the other day of this where she used to work for Broadway.com, and this Broadway celebrity who I don't even know who he is, but a Broadway celebrity came in, and she said that he was so striking and had such a presence that she just completely lost her words. So, okay, that's how we react to, say, Justin Timberlake walks in the room. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, Justin Timberlake, like, right? That's how it is if the creator of the universe is standing in front of you. You are not going to know what to do. And it's not because it's because you feel so much smaller and you feel so not worthy. And this epitome of love and confidence and warmth is just looking straight at you. How do you speak? It's a very real thing that humans experience, even in other ways, this being just completely floored and intimidated. And it's the same thing. It's a similar thing with God, I think.
And in that interaction, Jesus is the one that presents us to God blameless. We don't have to worry about what we are going to say before God or how we are going to justify our actions before God, because Jesus' blood has been spilt so that we have been forgiven of all of that. From everything that we've done, from all the bad thoughts we've had, from all the people we've hurt or whatever, Jesus washes that away with his blood, and we are presented before God blameless, as you said.
And that's also why I think Jesus says in the Bible, when the Last Supper is happening, Jesus takes the bread and he says, and he eats it, and he says, "Do this in remembrance of me, and think of me as often as you eat of it." Think about those words, as often as. That makes so much sense to me, because I have to cling to that. I have to cling to, if there's like a bad voice in your head, or, guilt, or whatever things humans deal with. No, Christ took care of this. Sometimes you'll just be doing something and remember something you messed up years ago. No, I don't have to be perfect. Christ took care of that for me. That's what it means. As often as you eat, you should think of what Christ did, because that is that's how you live and thrive, is you remember, like, God, I'm good before you because Jesus did that for me.
That's such a powerful thought. Knowing that you don't have to be shackled with shame and guilt, and that you are free from that because of what Jesus did.
Christ set us free, free from punishment, free from, well, I messed up that bad thing, so I'm going to have to pay that. I'm going to have to, I'm going to be punished for that thing, or, karma. Oh, I did something bad, so something bad is going to happen to me. Nope. Because every bad thing that you deserve was put on Christ in your place if you accept it. And we have to think about that in our lives, in our, not just every once in a while, every day, more than once a day. No, Jesus, like God, Jesus did this for me. God sees me as blameless.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you live your life hoping to get good karma from people or good energy or whatever, you're going to be really disappointed sometimes. Because sometimes you are going to receive such goodness and grace and mercy, and you don't deserve it. And if you think that's good karma, that's not a good way to think. And sometimes you're going to put out so much of yourself, and you're going to give, and you're going to do your best, and it's not going to work. And you're going to get it thrown right back in your face. And that's not because you didn't do enough good things. That's life. You live on this earth. God will have mercy and grace on you despite the fact that you haven't earned it.
Which takes so much humility to accept. And I have sat across the table from more than one person in diners who have said the words, I just can't accept that there's nothing that I have to do, or, no, I am good enough. I want to earn it. I want to be good enough for this. And it's really takes a lot of humility to say, I'm not good enough for this. And I'm not depending on me doing all the right things. And I'm not depending on what I can control, what I can do, how I can be better. And I am only going to thank God for the fact that Jesus took care of it. Do you see how that's hard?
Yes.
It's really hard to be like,
yeah, you don't have to earn your stripes on Jesus's team. You're not going to do certain good deeds that are going to win you Jesus' mercy and grace and
it
love.
Takes humility to say, no, I can't win that. I'm not going to compete with these people who seem like they're better than me because maybe, whatever. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to put myself before God and say, forgive me for where I am right now. And that takes humility. But anyway, it's an incredible thing that is how God, that is the gift that God has given us. Grace is defined as undeserved favor. Favor. You're my favorite. Unmerited. On none of your merits. I favor you, and there's nothing that you could do about it. And it's like, oh, but I'm going to be smart. I'm going to be good, and I'm going to fix myself, and I'm going to take control of this, and I'm going to No, you're not. You're going to accept that you are loved by God and forgiven through Christ, and God will shape you, and God will help you, and God will lift you up. He who humbles himself will be exalted. Anyway, so.
You're right, that is humbling, and that's such a powerful and freeing feeling when you decide to let the reins go on something and to stop manhandling something, and you just give it to God. And generally it works better that way too.
Yeah.
Whatever you're working on, whatever's on your mind, whatever you're stressed about, generally if you relinquish control of that and you get out of that mindset you were just talking about, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to turn my life around, I'm going to make myself a better person, and then I'm going to go to God because he'll accept me, you're going to be disappointed. And you don't need to do that. God accepts you right now as you are if you just turn to him and say, Lord, I am a humble sinner. I want to serve you. I want to be part of your kingdom. I want to speak the truth that you give me. I want your wisdom. I want your love. Please forgive me, God. And it's done. You are forgiven. All of that is done. You don't need to worry about fixing yourself, going to church 300 times before you're right with God or whatever.
And the Bible does not teach fixing yourself. That is something that has happened. You know, I don't even know. That's like, that comes from pride. No, you don't have to fix yourself. You say, you know what? I am the way I am right now, but God can use me in his kingdom, and God will shape me in his timing. And maybe I don't. Maybe this person is farther along than me, or has a gift that I don't have, or whatever the comparison thing is that's not healthy. But the point is, it's the humility of, I'm accepting God's love, and I'm accepting God's favor, and I'm going to admit that I'm not perfect, and I don't have to be perfect. It's not about me being happy with myself. I think that's a trap we can easily get caught in.
Ooh, and that's a losing battle too. That is a losing battle. I've had so many conversations with close friends, family members, whatever. Oh, I need to work on myself. Oh, I'm focusing on myself right now. I'm going to, get this in order. Like, I need to spend some time just making myself better. I need to spend some time focusing on myself and what I want. And I have not seen that work out many times. I have not seen that line of thinking produce great results and fulfillment. And it can be really tough, because then you get in this self-centric mindset, and it's a losing battle. You're never gonna win. You're never gonna come out the other side and say, yes, I've done it. I've turned everything around. I feel great. I'm a great person. Okay, God, here I am.
In my experience, I'm never more miserable. I'm never more anxiety-ridden than when I am focused on myself. It's a little dungeon. It's horrible. It's really it's not a good time.
It's very lonely. It's a lonely place to be.
It's lonely, and it's small, and it's stupid, and we all fall into it. I fall into it, but man, it's just way happier when you're like, you know what? God will take care of me. I'm going to turn my focus not inward, but I'm going to look out. Other people, projects, things, But anyway, yeah. Well, I think we can wrap this up.
You think so?
Yeah, I think we went over time a little bit.
Okay, well.
Do you want to do like a little lighthearted question, or should we skip it?
Ooh, let's do a question, but you have to answer in 5 words or less to keep this short.
Okay.
Let me think of a question. Last 3 months of the year, things you're most excited for.
Christmas. Music. Church. Traveling. Change.
That's pretty succinct. I like it. I'm excited for those things too. I think that's a pretty good way to answer that question.
Maybe I should give you a different question. Unless you want the same one.
I would answer almost the same way. So, yeah, give me a different question, and I'll answer in 5 words or less.
Okay. Favorite part of summer 2020?
Summer 2020, favorite part. Playing catch. That's 2 words. Recording. Melinda May. 5 words.
Well done.
And recording and playing catch were generally done with Melinda May, so Melinda May made summer 2020 for Trevor Knight. Definitely.
That's great. You definitely made my summer.
So yeah.
100%.
Playing catch, recording, Melinda May. Yeah, I stand by this.
I think this is great. That's a great, sounds like a good summer
to me.
Sounds
like a great summer.
I'm going to, play a little bit outside, record some music.
Hang out with Melinda May.
Hey.
First team, baby. You made the squad.
Wow. Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in, folks. I hope you found something interesting, encouraging, informative. If you have questions about any of these things, reach out to us. Get at us in the DMs. Send us an email, comment on YouTube, whatever you prefer. And we're so happy to see you spending your time with us. Thank you so much.
We will see you next episode. If you liked this episode, send it to someone you love. Also, follow us on Instagram at Stronger Voices Podcast.
You can email us at contact@strongervoicespodcast.com. We appreciate you spending your time with us today, and we'll see you for the next episode.